Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for moving into my own apartment because my boyfriend didn't want a dog? Hey, I, 25F, recently moved into my boyfriend's, 27 male, house with him. Everything has been going well, except for our pet situation. So my boyfriend has a 12-year-old cat named Charlie who he loves very much. Charlie hates other animals though, especially dogs. He gets really upset when dogs walk by the house or bark. It sucks because it's always been my dream to get a dog and my boyfriend knows this, but has always been adamant that we are not getting a dog until Charlie dies. I really don't even bring it up often. But I do live a pretty active lifestyle, so every now and then I will just daydream and mention that it would be awesome to have a dog to join me on all my adventures one day. To which he immediately responds that we can't until Charlie dies. And ever since I moved in has been saying things like, and if you don't like it, you can leave at any time. So I actually thought more about it and has right, we can just go back to living separately so I can finally have my dog. We can still be together, and Charlie is happy. I thought it was a good compromise, but when I told my boyfriend that I was considering moving out, he flipped out. He said I was being immature and choosing a dog over him. But it's not like I want to break up with him. I just want to live in a space where I can get a dog if I want to. Besides, he said if I don't like it, I can leave him. Going to look at 2 apartments this evening, and my boyfriend told me I can stay with my mom until I find a place. I really don't want to feel like him choosing between him or a dog, but has kinda making it that way now. So Reddit, am I the antagonist if I go through with moving out to get a dog? He already has a pet that is incompatible with dogs, yet you want a dog. You're prepared to move out because living with him is no longer convenient for you. He finds this upsetting because he believed you two to be in agreement with your relationship. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. NTA. You're both adults and you both have your own ideas of what you want and what you won't tolerate. I don't understand people saying the opposite. That cat could live another 9 years easy. You're not asking him to get rid of the cat. There is no churlish behavior here. Or yeah, I love Charlie and would never have the audacity to ask someone to get rid of their baby. I just love dogs and I feel like that's equally valid. Thanks for the input. Sounds like you and your BF should break up tbh. Now, I don't get all the comments about how you're the asshole because you moved in knowing his position. Moving in wasn't a promise to never change your own mind about what you want, nor a commitment to continue living together until the cat dies. You're allowed to decide. You know what? I do want a dog, and it's important enough to me to move out, even if my boyfriend doesn't want me to do that. As others have said, just realize the relationship likely won't survive as a result. You are not the asshole just because you are okay with that. Am I the antagonist for making my cousin drive 500 miles to give my plushie back? I, 24F, was placed with the Sandersons at 11, adopted at 13. My parents are great. I love them very much. I'm their only child, though they did help raise their nephew, my cousin Randall, until his mom got better. Randall, 26, calls me his sister and visits a lot. Recently he brought his girlfriend Carolee, 24F, and her child, Bethany, 6F. Randall is not the father, but they are pretty serious. Randall, Carolee, and Bethany drove from Tennessee to visit me. The journey was like 2,000 miles. Bethany got into everything. Wanted to eat only snacks. Made a huge mess. Threw a lot of fits. Which is normal kid stuff. But Carolee said nothing. Not until Randall noticed I was getting upset and asked Carolee to control Bethany when they left earlier than planned because Carolee got tired of my attitude towards her tornado child. I noticed that my stuffed owl was gone. I got that before I was put into foster care at age 4 and have held on to it since then. It was on a shelf with a few other pictures and things from childhood. I called Randall to ask if they had it. He said they did, and he would mail it back to me. He didn't realize Bethany had taken it. I told him I needed it back. I was about to have a panic attack. He turned the car around, brought the owl to me. Carolee said I was being horrible and they would have mailed it back to me. I told her that she was a horrible person for letting her kid steal my only connection to my childhood. Randall and Carolee ended up getting into a huge fight about it and broke up. Randall told her to find her own way back home and slammed the door to my apartment in her face. He let her get her things out of the car, but refused to even talk to her. He was so mad. Randall stayed for a few days, apologized for Carolee, and drove home. Carolee and Bethany rented a car to get home. They are still broken up. Am I the antagonist? It was purposefully taken from your home by Carly and given to her child, most likely as retaliation for feeling slighted. Yes, they did need to go back and give you what they took. I'm not shocked that your brother immediately dumped her. He is aware of her actions. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. NTA. The kid should have been being watched closer and made to mind. Then all of this could have been avoided. And sounds like your cousin turned around all on his own to bring it back to you. Not you made him do it. I'm sure he realized how important that plushie is to you. And that's what had him turn around to bring it back instead of mailing it. Randall is an amazing person. I just feel bad. I don't like to be a burden to people. NTA. When I was having my 30th birthday party at my house, my best friend invited her cousin and her child. The little kid was like 5 or 6 at the time. I'm friendly with the cousin as well, so it was all good. Until the little girl took my teddy dog my brother gave me. The thing must be like 20 years old and it's the first gift my older brother gave me. We were like 9 or 10 at the time, so that one means a lot to me. So the little girl was walking away with my teddy and I just took it out of her hands and put it back in my room. My best friend was kind of mad at me and also the mom. They were like, it's just a kid, give her the teddy, you are a grown up. I told them I was a grown up teaching a child a lesson. You don't take away things that are not yours. That did it. It's my things and I don't have to give it to you or wait until the moment it's right for them. I have always hated the concept of you must give things to people younger than you if they show an interest. I was raised by neglectful, abusive parents who didn't handle money well. Like we considered Target the fancy store. At my grandmother's memorial service, one of my great aunts gave my sister and I a couple of Beanie Babies. Oh man, that's gonna date me. I had never had any before, and they were all the rage back then. I was 10. Somehow, one of mine ended up being used to play with someone's baby, and I had a bunch of adults talking to me about how much the baby liked the toy and how nice it would be for me to give it to her. I said no. They pushed a few more times, but gave up to me. The biggest thought was I have so little, and she will not remember this item in about 10 minutes. Why do I always have to be the one to give? That feeling has stuck with me. Am I the antagonist for flashing my best friend's boyfriend? I, F23, usually live alone. However, my best friend Ceci, F24, and her boyfriend Tom, M28, recently had some issues with their living situation, and so I offered for them to live with me for a while. They gratefully accepted, and have been living with me for a few weeks now. Because of the fact that I previously lived alone, I had got into the habit of wearing minimal or no clothing around the house. Obviously when Ceci and Tom moved and I had to adjust to wearing more clothes around the house, out of respect for them. Well, a few nights ago I slipped up. I went to take a shower, but realized afterwards I had left my towel in my bedroom. It's a common mistake I make due to absent-mindedness and, like I said, I'm used to living alone. I didn't want to get back into my dirty clothes, and it was late, so I thought Ceci and Tom would be asleep anyway. I decided to just chance it and go and grab a towel from my room. Unfortunately though, I ran into Tom in the corridor. Much to my embarrassment, he immediately looked away and, aside from it being pretty awkward, I didn't really see it as a big deal. I forgot about it and went to sleep afterwards. However, the next day Ceci blew up on me, demanding to know why I was walking around the house naked and flashing her boyfriend. I was shocked by this. I explained to her it wasn't like that at all, and there was no sexual motive behind it. It was just a careless mistake on my part. She insisted I should have texted them beforehand to let them know I would be walking around naked. and also that I should let her know about the incident immediately after. I'll be honest, I didn't really think to do either of those things. She said I was disrespectful, that I had betrayed her trust, and that I was an R in how I handled the situation. Am I the antagonist? If there isn't even one towel kept in the bathroom, the major areas may have been covered with a hand towel perhaps. Your companion must unwind or leave. I don't see anything wrong with her, and if I was Sissy, I would have laughed my ass off. Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. NTA. This is literally your residence, and you're allowing your friend and her boyfriend to stay there. You didn't do this intentionally, and it sounds like Tom was a gentleman about the whole thing. Sissy sounds insecure AF. Sissy is quite insecure and jealous when it comes to relationships, so I do understand to an extent. But accusing me of flashing is a bit far emo. NTA. But if you wanted to be one, you could just text Sissy every time you remove a piece of clothing. Hey, just so you know, I'm changing for the gym. I'll be partially naked in my room. Update, I'm done changing. This is hilarious. I should definitely start doing this from now on. NTA. Sissy's weird jealousy issues are her problem and not yours. Texting that you're going to be naked? Really? Am I the antagonist for expecting friends to do things in their field for free? I work in graphical design and people ask me for tech help constantly. Like I'm everyone's go-to guy if their computer is broken, or they need to upgrade, or their internet isn't working, or you name it. I always help, because I tend to try to live by this standard that if I have the ability to help someone and choose not to, then I'm morally in the wrong. Well, the other day I needed some legal advice, so I reached out to a buddy of mine who I've helped with computer stuff BTW if he would be willing to give me essentially a consultation. He directed me to his website, where I'm hit with the 1-hour consultation is $300. So I was like, hedge, I can't really afford these kind of lawyer fees, was kind of hoping you could just help me as a friend. Well, he laughed and got a little rude with me, saying the old don't ask people to do what they do for a living for free. But I never really understood that mindset, because I help people all the time for free and would feel bad for accepting payment from my friends when they need help. I was kind of taken aback and responded that I never charge him for any of the help I give him within my profession. But he said that's different because it's just computer stuff, which felt like I'm being looked down on. We kind of got into it a little bit, where I said, yeah, but you take your stuff to me because you think taking it to the store is a ripoff, when my rate is actually a lot higher than a place like Best Buy. We didn't really make up and probably aren't talking much anymore, lol. So yeah, am I the antagonist? Edit. I was told I would add this context to the post. I'll add some clarity for the type of work I've done for him for free. I designed a logo. I helped create a web page and form submission ticketing system. Have helped repair broken computers. Built a gaming computer for free labor. Set up a Soho network. And designed some flyers for his wife's cleaning service. Other than that, it's just been general troubleshooting advice, like you would expect. I was going to give you a soft ESH, but the ending made me decide to go with NTA. You come across as a kind guy, and you now realize that this man is not. His free exploitation of your professional ability is absolutely unjustifiable. Comment by team member Shannon. Now for the top comments. NTA. I would typically say yes, but you've helped him in your field. Your friend is belittling your profession. NTA sent him an invoice for the work you've done, and call it a day. He doesn't value your work because he didn't have to pay for it. NTA. I frequently call on my friends to bounce ideas off of them, and your friend could at least have listened to what you had to say and then pointed you in the right direction. That's not my area of expertise, but I think you need a lawyer specializing in this field. Let me dig in my Rolodex to give you a name would be perfectly acceptable. I'd also use the very same line if he ever comes to you with a computer problem again. $100/HR. 2-hour minimum. Please ensure data is backed up, as we make no guarantees. Don't ask people to do what they do for a living for free. He's a hypocrite. Seeing as how you've helped him multiple times in the past with his tech issues. That's different because it's just computer stuff. He does not value your expertise, time and effort. You helping out others shows that you're a good person. Continue being who you are. But understand that there is a line to be drawn when people wish to take advantage of your kindness. As in this case, if I were you, I would not make an effort to reach out to mend this friendship because he's shown you who he is and not worth the time and effort. On the flip side, I would definitely pay a friend for his/her expertise in a given area. However, there is an unwritten expectation that if you scratch my back, I will scratch yours. Am I the antagonist not paying any more towards our daughter's wedding after she cut pieces off her mother's wedding dress for her own? My wife made her wedding dress with her mother. It's very sentimental to her and she was very proud of it. It was simple but freaking gorgeous. She has always said she would love for our kids to wear her dress at their wedding. We have 3 daughters, 34, 30, 25, and 1 son, 28. My wife made it known that the dress was not to be altered except to be taken in let out so it could be kept and reworn. Our youngest daughter didn't wear it. Our Dill wore it for their reception and our son held it up against him for some pre-wedding bridal pictures so he wasn't left out. He totally rocked it. Oldest daughter wore it for her wedding. We've offered some financial contributions to all our children towards either school, a wedding, or a house down payment. Olivia has asked for help paying for her wedding. The wedding is in the beginning of August. A few months ago Olivia asked my wife if she could use the dress for her wedding, and my wife gave her the dress so Olivia could get it fitted with plenty of time. Tuesday Olivia asked me to go with her to pay some vendors. One of the stops was the tailor shop for a final fitting and pay the seamstress. Olivia was really nervous and I figured it was just usual pre-wedding jitters and excitement. The dress Olivia came out in was not at all her mother's dress. It was a completely different dress with parts of her mother's gown added to it. She took the straps, the sash, the train, and the embroidered top skirt and had it added to this new dress. I was befuddled for a bit and then asked what the hell this was. Olivia's reasoning was that she was the last of our kids to get married and there wasn't anyone else to wear it, and she made sure to instruct they keep the original dress to be returned to her. I told her that's not the same. She knows it, and the dress was never hers to do with what she wanted. I asked the seamstress for the rest of my wife's dress and had Olivia tell my wife in person what she had done. My wife was devastated. I have since cancelled the payment I made that day and told her I won't be paying another cent to her wedding. She and her fiance can figure it out. Our youngest daughter thinks I've gone overboard knowing Olivia planned her wedding with our help in mind, and without it, she can't finish paying for everything. Olivia's future in-laws also agree with that they can't afford to help and suggested I should pay, and then we just go low contact with Olivia. I've told them both that Olivia took something irreplaceable from her mother for her own vanity. I know we originally offered help with the wedding, but I think Olivia's actions warrant cancelling that offer. Am I the antagonist? Even if the outfit could be repaired, it would still be wrong to do so. Someone doesn't automatically be paid for something just because they plan for it. Comment by team member Shannon. Now for the top comments. NTA, she tried the old ask forgiveness not permission for a reason. This is clear by her being really nervous to show you the dress. I'd imagine she also showed you first, so you could try to soften the blow to your wife. This was premeditated, which makes her an R, due to her not respecting you or your wife with her choice. I don't think you're in the wrong from pulling your support from the wedding. Tell her she already has your entire contribution in fabric. I've heard of some people using like a small piece, like a small square of fabric, maybe a couple inches or something, of their mother's or grandmother's wedding dress somewhere in this, which is kinda what I was expecting. This is just so far beyond acceptable, unless you had the owner's blessing, cause it was a loan. You don't destroy an item that was loaned to you. Even when you do this, you notoriously ask for a ratty inside, letting out seam scrap or hidden bitten with permission. Like you're not just like, ah yes, the entire titties area. I'll just pocket that. It's more like maybe a little square from the back here under the train. Won't be missed if I create a false seam. NTA, she destroyed your wife's precious dress without even a thought. Oh, she put plenty of thought into it. Obviously, not the a-hole, but the gall of the in-laws. They didn't butt in to be peacemakers for their soon-to-be daughter-in-law. I could appreciate that. No, they just wanted your money and openly admit it by suggesting low contact after. Olivia R. In-laws are. Youngest probably just trying to help. You and your wife, not the a-hole. Emotionally it isn't the same, I know. But if you have all the pieces, a good seamstress can probably reassemble it to look original. Am I the antagonist because my friend ordered the same dish as me and couldn't pay for it? My 19F, 3 friends, 19F, 20F, 20 male, and I were going out to a restaurant. And another student, 19 male, from our summer study abroad program that we've befriended in the past 3 weeks asked to come. We said of course he can come. It was a slightly upscale restaurant with a Michelin star. We all ordered our own meals. Our newer friend couldn't really understand the menu since it wasn't in English, and his Spanish isn't that proficient yet. So he was Google translating. Then he gave up and just told the waiter he'll have what I'm having. He didn't know the price since the menu didn't have prices. But we all assumed if he was concerned about price, he'd ask the staff. But he did not. The table bill was about $100. It was $100 for the appetizers and about $200 for each person's main course. We had all agreed before to each pay for ourselves and then split the bill for the appetizers. Our friend was shocked that his meal was $200 and said he didn't have enough money for that. He started talking to the waiter, questioning each charge, and became more distressed. Then he demanded to know why I didn't tell him the price. First, it wasn't in the menu, so I didn't know exactly, but the price was about what I expected it to be. He cold asked the waiter if he was worried about it, instead of just saying I'll have the same thing. I'm not sure what he expected, since this is not a cheap place. He used his emergency credit card to pay and was quite upset, and he said I should have told him the price. My meal was no more expensive than anyone else's at the table. I'm not sure why he didn't just ask the waiter. Am I the antagonist? Edit. We're all Americans studying Spanish abroad, including him. He's from a different American university. The menu was Spanish. Edit. For those asking why I didn't ask him if he could afford the price range, I thought that saying it's Michelin would convey that. But also, I would feel rude telling someone are you sure you can afford to come if they ask to tag along. Edit. Some people ask me to clarify that he's okay. He's not in debt or anything. He has plenty left for the summer in his checking account. He's upset because the credit card wasn't meant to be used, but for emergencies. And he didn't have his debit card since he thought his cash would be enough. You reasoned that he might have comprehended after telling him that the establishment has a Michelin star and is upscale looking. Sadly, not everyone is aware of what a Michelin-starred restaurant is. Instead of relying on you folks to explain things to him, he ought to have sorted up online. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. Info. Did he know this was an expensive place? Did you even check if this upscale place was within his budget before you took him there? Was there any possibility he wasn't expecting food to cost this much? In fairness, he asked to come, and they said sure. I can imagine thinking that it would be rude to turn round and say can you even afford to come? I think this is just one of those horrible situations where no one is really an R. I've worked in Michelin star restaurants and those prices sound obscene to me. You absolutely should have warned him the place was ridiculously overpriced. Personally, I've seen Michelins for around 60/person lunch to nearer 250/person dinners and all the ones in between. It is definitely on the higher end of the scale, but not entirely unexpected, especially if they were in a main city rather than the countryside. Really, this all comes down to a lack of communication. Op and their friends are clearly more accustomed to Michelin stars and had better expectations for them, whereas the extra friend likely did not have as much exposure. Talking money in a Michelin is rude, especially when it comes down to the final bill. Coming from someone who spent 8 months saving up to treat their parents to a Michelin at 16 years as a thank you for raising me. I had an Excel of just under 100 restaurants to find the best value for money.